Yeah, I think the emerging market concept was a useful one probably some time back when emerging markets as a whole was a smaller part of the world and part of the world's GDP, certainly. Over the last 5 to 10 years, obviously that has changed. You know, China's now the world's second largest economy. You've got economies like India catching up very fast, and you've got other emerging economies pushing as well. So the concept was useful in the early days, and I think now, though, the issues come is that even within that basket of emerging markets, you've got dramatically different performance, not only in economics, in geopolitics, in everything. And you look at Russia today. You've got issues after the geopolitical shenanigans with the Ukraine and Crimea, where Russian asset markets have collapsed and the ruble's weak, and yet we're bracketing Russia with those current geopolitical problems in with China, in with Brazil, in with India, etc., etc. And each one of those countries are now getting big enough in their own right, but also each one of those countries is quite different. Yes, we're all involved in a global cycle. But within that, there's quite a lot of difference, and I would say we need to start getting a little bit more discerning, because what is going on? Even the concept of BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, which made sense some time back. Now, and the reason we never really fancied BRIC is because what we didn't like about Russia and Brazil was their, if you like, a little bit overly reliant on one sector, which is commodities. Whereas if you looked at China and India, it's a totally different, much broader economy, not too reliant on one particular area. So yes, I think all in all, it is certainly time for a little bit more discernment in the grouping of emerging markets, and we need to look individually as opposed to one mass group. Yeah, so our view is India certainly had its fragilities, and that was the reason it was included in that awful expression, the Fragile Five, late last year. I think the economic performance of India subsequent to that has actually turned around quite dramatically. You can look at a lot of the macro issues that the country was facing that led to the rupee weakening off, that led to assets coming out, cash and capital coming out of the economy quite dramatically. A lot of these issues have been addressed, and I'm not saying India is perfect, because it certainly isn't. There are still macro fragilities, but from, if you might classify it being one of the founding members of the Fragile Five, I think it should actually come off that red list, if you like, and move on to an amber list, because we've certainly seen improvement in the underlying macro fundamentals.